Well, the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs are nearing this second week, and as many teams look to clinch round 2, today I'll talk about some of those key playoff matchups. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Cameron Simpson. Today we're going to talk about a little NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. We're entering week 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs and they're best teams in the league. Some will clinch, some won't. So I want to look at a couple of the playoff series, see what's going on, and talk about them and talk about some of the key storylines throughout these playoffs. And before we get into talking about each and every series, I want to talk about the NHL officiating, reacting to many of these situations happening. I put a couple on today. I was bored, I was scrolling, and I was seeing the podcast Spittin' Chicklets and other people putting out posts about the officiating in the NHL. And I looked at some of them, and yeah, it looks pretty awful. The officiating is really bad in these playoffs so far. It's a tough headline. Some teams are benefiting, most aren't. The one thing that's really frustrating me is NHL playoff hockey is supposed to be a bloodbath. It's supposed to be physical, and the referees' stripes, they are kind of drawing back from that whole kill somebody, physical. Hitting right now is just barely allowed. I mean, there's no real true line down the middle about what's a clean hit and what's not a clean hit. It's all over the place. And I, as an NHL fan, feel as if that is just completely unfair. We should be able to know where officiating is and what the line is. And normally in playoffs, the officials let a lot more go than they do in the regular season. Again, these are the best of the best of the best officials. The NHL, Spittin' Chicklets, the same podcast, did an interview with Tim Peel. He talked about how these officials are some of the best in the league, how they are specifically picked by the NHL commissioner, by the NHL officiating office to officiate these games. And when they mess up, they get talked to about it and they won't get picked on the finals. So let me tell you, these officials make more money when they're in the playoffs. So none of them want to mess up. None of them are here just because they're here. They get picked. All the officials in the playoffs get picked. They're specially picked, and they get paid a lot of extra money to be in the playoffs. And the fact that these guys maybe aren't working as hard anymore, I don't know at all, but to me it seems as if these referees, these officials, maybe aren't, I don't know. They're missing a lot, they're not calling a lot, the standard is off, like a high stick and a trip and all of that. You just don't know what is what. The standard of officiating is all over the place, and it's causing a lot of fans frustration. I mean, we saw the bunting hit. And I think that's the one hit they got right. That should be a penalty. But then we saw Point get hit, which I do think is a clean hit. But then and then there's punches thrown and they don't call anything. And so it's just really tough to figure out what the line of officiating is at this point. So that's my quick thing on officiating. It's not bugging me as much as you are because my series is the Bruins. So I'm really in on the Bruins. But the Wild series, the Toronto-Tampa series, those two series, officiating's kind of been put on the pedestal. So we'll get to that Toronto series too. They're kind of stealing all the headlines from everybody right now. But first, let's look at each series, give my quick thoughts on them. I want to look at the Devils and New York Rangers. Obviously, this video, as you know, coming out on Tuesday. I obviously don't know the results unless if I'm a psychic. I'm predicting the Devils are going to lose and probably the Rangers are going to win, and it's going to be 3-1. The Devils have looked young, and they haven't looked as good as they probably should in these playoffs, and they're struggling against a talented New York Rangers team. But let me tell you, the Rangers aren't impressing me much either, honestly. I feel like this series is just, It's the only series that I can kind of say is meh. They're not really physical. It's just a meh series. I'm interested to see what happens in this game that's happening on Monday night. Hopefully, Devils clinch through and get that win and put that series a little more competitive, but this might be a gentleman's sweep. The Rangers are looking really, really good against this Devils team, but like I said, it's not really shocking me that they're playing good, and it's also not like blowing me away. Like, oh, the Rangers are kind of eh. And that's just how I feel right now. I don't feel like the Rangers are over-the-top good. I also don't feel like they're playing like... I don't think the Devils are playing them very good. And then the Tampa Bay-Toronto series. Talk about a series. Who knows where this one's going to go. Toronto's leading 2-1. I predict that Tampa will probably tie it up and it'll be 2-2. And the coach the other day said like that Tampa is manipulating the officials. I don't know what he was thinking about. Talk about a physical series. They are killing each other every minute of every game. If you're a non-NHL fan, I would totally go and watch that game because they are smoking each other. They are completely killing each other at every moment in every game. It's an awesome series. And there's been some controversy. As I said, the Bunting hit. If you missed it, Bunting got suspended 3 games for a pretty nasty hit. I agree with the call. I probably wouldn't have gave him 3. I might have gave him 2, but he deserves a suspension. I get it. It's playoff hockey, and you don't want to suspend anybody, but you also have to keep the precedent. As I said, there needs to be a precedent, which there isn't right now in round 1. There needs to be a precedent of officiating. And I think the NHL is trying to set that by saying, all right, Bunting, you are getting bunted out. Get it? Huh? And you're not going to be able to play in these playoffs right now, obviously. I agree with that 3-game suspension. Again, this series, Toronto came to play. And I underestimated Toronto. I thought this might even go 5 games. Now, I think this game is going 7. I think this series is destined for 7 games. I'm still going to take Tampa Bay right now. Obviously, that was my original pick. I think it is just an all-around amazing hockey series. It's amazing to watch right now. Talk about Winnipeg Jets and the Vegas Golden Knights. Kudos to Winnipeg. I thought this could be a sweep. I thought then after Winnipeg won, I was like, all right, maybe it'll be a gentleman's sweep. No. Winnipeg came to play, and I always underestimate that team. I really need to stop doing that. I still think Vegas is the better team. I think they're better coached. They're just more talented. But Winnipeg has really shocked me in the series with the way they've been able to play against Vegas. I think it's been really awesome for them. All in all, a really decent series to watch. I got to watch a little bit. And that's the late game for me. I'm on the East Coast. So, obviously, 9:30 start. I'm not really watching that whole game most of the time. But during vacation, I got to watch a lot of that. I got to watch them on Saturday when they played. So, I really do like that. And one more thing. I'm going to squirrel here for a second. But kudos to the NHL. Sunday, 4 games, all different times. The NHL has figured it out. It was awesome. The NHL should do more of that. Just, hey, 4 games, all different times of the day. It's our March Madness right now for hockey fans. And another kudos here to the Seattle Kraken. They're playing the defending Cup champions, Colorado Avalanche, and they are putting up a test. I think McKinnon said that this is the toughest team he's ever played in the playoffs, and, I mean, they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. So him to say that is obviously a big plus to the Kraken. And I don't know why he even said that. The Kraken are probably going to take that and be like, oh, yeah, we're that team. We're them. And I'm sorry for the movement. I think they can win. I think they could beat Colorado. I'm still sticking with my pick, obviously. There's something about that team. They're really playing really, really well right now. They're playing great playoff hockey. Colorado has a big task in front of them to beat that team. A big task in front of them. And then tonight, Tuesday night, the Islanders and the Hurricanes. I expect our first series to be final. The Islanders are probably going to win. The Carolina Hurricanes are probably going to win. The Islanders are kicking themselves in the foot with penalties. There's way too many penalties for the playoffs to begin with, but penalty after penalty after penalty after penalty after penalty for the New York Islanders. They're killing themselves in penalties, and it is really just not a good thing. So New York's probably going to lose tonight. But all in all, a really good series for the Hurricanes. But they lost some big names. I don't think they can win the Stanley Cup. They were a threat. I don't see them as a threat anymore, and the poor Islanders fall victim to that. The Wild and the Stars, this is another series where they're killing each other, complaining about the officials. What a good series. Minnesota, this series is tied right now. Minnesota's killing them. They're winning, and they're killing them, and good for them. And Dallas is winning and killing them at times. It's just an awesome series to watch. Again, I wish it wasn't the late games because it's that good. It's that entertaining at this point. I really do enjoy it. And then we have LA. Let's go LA. I mean, everyone's on the Edmonton train, and I am not tooting the Edmonton train. I am all on Edmonton. I'm all on LA. Let's go Kings, all right? I want to see them make a playoff push. You know who hasn't really been doing much? McDavid, he's struggling in this series. They're shutting him down a little bit. I mean, sure, he's getting a couple goals, but he's supposed to be the best guy in the league. He should be pounding goals. Let's go, Kings. That series is currently all tied up. I'm hoping the Kings can take this 3-2. This series is probably going 7. It's a great, great series. Let's go, Kings. And finally, the Bruins and the Panthers. Another worthy series. The Panthers are pulling out right now. They're trying to win. They're trying to put some energy on them. Look, good for Panthers for showing up for the Bruins. The Bruins played really horrible in the second game, but that disaster ended up finishing. They're back to a little bit of what Boston Bruins hockey is. They've won the last 2. I expect them to win on Wednesday night and take that series. But yeah, that game 2 was god-awful for the Boston Bruins. Great job by the Panthers to be able to get that and just put some pressure on Boston because they were awful. But now they're back to that hockey. They're a dangerous team. They're going to be a very dangerous team in this playoffs. Like I said before, I don't see a team that can beat the Bruins 4 games out of 7. I just don't see it. But we'll see what happens. The next round is going to be a good series. If it's Boston-Toronto, what a gift from the gods. It's going to be a great series. If it's Boston and Tampa, it's going to be another great series. So I'm excited for it. Anyway, tell me how your favorite team is doing down in the comment section. That's a quick little recap of what's going on in the playoffs right now. It's quick. I mean, I've been trying to keep up. There's so much going on. My hockey adrenaline is up. I love talking about it right now. So let's go to your favorite team. Hopefully they can win. Unless they're the Panthers, I'm not rooting for them. Sorry, if your favorite team's the Panthers, I'm not rooting for them. If your favorite team's Edmonton, I'm not rooting for them. But the rest of them, let's go. I'm obviously rooting for my predictions, but I wouldn't mind seeing the Kraken beat Colorado. That would be awesome. I'm kind of rooting for it. But anyway, that's it for me. I'll see you in the next one, which is probably going to be a nice podcast coming up. Peace out.